Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new edition of Sacred Mysteries Worldwide. I have a special guest here with me today. We're going to be talking to one of my favorite people in the world, someone who I've known for a long time and who is very special to me. I'll give you a little history. She is my spiritual godmother. And we've known each other for a long time and have grown to be family and sister friends and all that good stuff. And there's a lot of love. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce my spiritual godmother, my sister, my friend. And her name is Kathleen Oyaewo Bullock. And she is a priestess of Oya in the Lukumi tradition. And she has 33 years in the tradition. And she's going to speak with us today about her experience, how she came into the tradition and you know, some of the other elements of the tradition that, you know, we're going to get to. We're going to go through a few things to kind of shed some light on the tradition and her experience within. And we're going to get started. Welcome, Kathleen. Thank you for agreeing to be with me today and do this talk.
Well, thank you for having me. And hello, everybody. I hope that this will help on, you know, the spiritual journeys that we all take in life. And if you're just starting a spiritual journey, I hope it gives you some insight into what it entails to become a priestess in the Orisha tradition of Lukumi.
Yes, and so we're going to get started with finding out how you became involved in the tradition, or actually we're going to go a little bit before that. I wanted to know if before you came to the Orisha Lukumi tradition, were you involved in any other type of spiritual tradition prior?
Well, nothing formally. You know, my family's from North Carolina, the South, and so there's always been this mixture of secret hoodoo, you know, Dr. Buzzard and stuff. And so my grandmother, who, you know, she refuses to acknowledge to this day, really is the one who introduced me into, you know, hoodooism, but, you know, she totally, you know, says she did.
That's that hush hush.
Yeah, that's that hush hush. So she's always brought me around people who were into it. And as I got older, I guess people saw something with me. And from the time that I can remember as a teenager, as young as being a teenager, I was always told that I was destined to be a spiritualist. Mm. And like, that's like the last thing that you want to hear as a teenager, because, you know, you go to these people's houses and they got jars of different kind of herbs and a cow foot and a, you know, all kind of different feet and, you know, snake skins and stuff and skeletons. And you're like, oh, I don't think I'm destined for that. I'm, you know, I'm going to be a career woman, you know, I'm not messing with that. However, I do come to that when I need, you know, a situation to be rectified, but, you know, I'd rather be on the fringes. So basically, I was raised by hoodoo.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And it got me personally to a point to where I needed more, or my spiritual guides needed more. And they led me to the Orisha tradition through many twists, many turns, and, you know, many tears. But I got there. And as soon as I got there, I felt like I was at home.
Wow.
And here's where I stay. So that's been just a part of, just a brief, you know, intro into my journey. So it's always been a spiritual one. I've always been able to, from a little girl, see ghosts and, you know, scare people to death by the fact that I could see them. And as I got older, I couldn't see them, but I could sense them and I could feel them. And they came to me in a way that I could handle, you know, instead of walking through my door like they used to when I was a little girl. You know, so that's that's a part of that journey.
Did you find that being initiated and being involved in the tradition has helped kind of balance that out for you, that whole, interaction with the spirit realm? And
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. Sometimes we have spiritual forces that are dark. And sometimes they're not dark, but they need something. And because they're not receiving the nourishment or the guidance that they need, they create havoc in your life. And that's what happened with me. At one point, they turned everything in my life totally upside down, where I had no finances, no job, no hope, no nothing. And it was through that process that I met someone who was my godbrother. He was dressed in all white, and I happened to be hanging out that night. And I said to him, I said, "Are you in that religion where they're not supposed to charge that much?" And he was like, "Well, yeah." I mean, I was supposed to be the basis of the religion, and you're supposed to charge what it costs you to do the work for that individual. Is not supposed to be something that you profit from. And so I told him my story, and he said to me, he said, "Well, it could be that, you're having some issues with Egon." And I'm like, "What is that?" And he said, spiritual forces, so forth and so on. So he took me to his godmother, had a reading, and they told me my whole life. And they told me, they said, "Listen, you need to do Ocha right away. And if you don't, you can end up in a crazy house," which I knew to be true. And from that moment on, I figured, well, for me to give up 1 year of my life for a lifetime of stability, that was the road I was going to take. And that's how I ended up being initiated and making Ocha into Oya.
Wow. So you didn't know a whole lot before you got started?
No. The first traumatic experience was when they told me they had to shave all my hair and I couldn't wear makeup or nails. I was like, "What?" Because I was a fly girl. I'm like, "Are you kidding me? No." What? And I had to wear white for a whole year. And I was like, "What do you mean? Like all white, all year, even going to work?" "Yep, even going to work."
Wow.
And I was like, oh. Funny though, I went on a job interview, dead of winter, dressed in all white from head to toe. I was a fresh Yavo and got the job. She didn't even realize that I was in all white. She didn't even notice it.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was pretty incredible.
That speaks largely to, really heeding your path and aligning yourself with your higher spiritual guides, and how you can manage to, go and do what you have to do. And they open those doors for you.
They do.
In so many ways. Wow.
They do.
That's incredible. And it's sort of, you're hearing your story. My story is a little different and how I met you, because I came to you in a serious emergency.
Right.
It was like, "Save my life, please." I need help.
Right. Yeah. And and the thing is that like you meet people come in and out of your life, partners come in and out of your life. And my ex-husband at the time was a Babalao, and he really was instrumental in bringing me to the fourfold of Orisha. I mean, I was already about 10 years, a good 10, 15 years in, but I didn't have that guidance. And so through him meeting people, I probably would have never had godchildren, or never went to Cuba, or never did a lot of things. So I do give him that props,
That's right.
for pushing me and, saying, "No, you need to do this. This is what you need to do. You're a daughter of Oya, go out there and, conquer the world." And
That's
so, and then that's how I met you and so
right.
many other, you know,
Mhm.
great people who are, you know, still a part of my life today.
Yes, he definitely was that gateway and that bridge for you coming to a certain place. For our listeners who may not know what a Babalawo is, can you give just a little intro on that?
A Babalawo in the Lukumi tradition is the high priest, and it's always males. At least in the Lukumi tradition. I know that they have Iya Nifas in the Nigerian African tradition. But in the Lukumi tradition that I practice, it's male. And they are considered the high priests, and they are the sons of a ruler. Now, they may have also made Orisha as well and been crowned Orisha. But before they were crowned Orisha, after they were crowned Orisha, they went to Ifa. Some go immediately, some take a few years to get there. And, you know, and people go to them to consult with a ruler, and they, you know, give you different abodes and stuff to do. So that's my interpretation of a Babalawo, of what they are, you know. They have that, you know, some of them could perform miracles for you, you know, some not so much, but that's
it
what a
really
Babalawo
does
is.
depend.
Yeah, it really does. Listen, in this religion, we are all human. You know, we're gifted with special knowledge and guidance, but we're still a human.
Right.
And we can make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Or we just don't know what we're doing. You know? Some people try to fake it till they make it, but that's not, you know. But, you know, it's just to understand that we're not like these high, you know, level human beings that walk on air. We make mistakes.
That's right. That's right.
You know, we make mistakes because this is a religion about free will.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't, I don't know if they don't understand it, but it is. It's you can be told, don't do X, Y, and Z. And you do X, Y, and Z, and then the results are what you were told were going to happen. But you make that decision. You know, you can make that decision. And so,
yeah, people definitely bring their personalities with them, their flaws and all of that. And a lot of people really try, those who are in the leadership positions as priests and priestesses, they're growing and developing just like the rest of us.
Yes.
You know, and like you said, there's some that really want to grow and there's some that just want to stay how they are.
Right.
And that being said, you know, in this tradition, you have to watch out for those people who are just wanting to have the status and those who are really about the work and helping people.
Right. You have some, not all, who are into lights, camera, action. And there's very little substance behind it. You know, so it's almost that you as an individual, if it's something that you're interested in, you have to do your due diligence in terms of, since there's so much information out there on the internet these days, to just read up on what the tradition is about, what it is, you know, because 9 times out of 10, you can feel if what somebody is telling you or guiding you is in the right direction.
Yes.
You know, so if you have an intuition and feeling of, you know, I don't know if that sounds too correct, then go with that, you know, as opposed to having a blind allegiance to an individual. And that's the thing, not to have blind faith in individuals. Have faith in Orisha and have faith in spirit, but not a blind faith to an individual.
I see, definitely. Now, in terms of like the journey, I know you came in it the way you did, but as a godmother and you're guiding someone who is interested and they want to know, and they don't have a clue, they just know that they have this draw to the tradition, what would you say would be the types of steps that make sense? And I know it varies, but what do you think, what can you tell us about what makes sense? How do you come into it?
Well, I think the journey for someone just coming into this religion, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because someone just asked me to, be their godmother, and, wanted to know what they needed to do in order to, what steps. I mean, the way I do it is, unfortunately, during the age of COVID, it's really difficult for us to commune the way that we used to. So I would hold like monthly spiritual masses where we would gather and do prayers, and we would to elevate our spiritual guides and also to learn about them. Because in that kind of communal fellowship, you're able to heighten your own spiritual awareness that will take you to that next level. Anyone who's getting involved in this really needs to deal with their spiritual side first before we get to Orisha. Orisha is like the final frontier. But everything really needs to be investigated and dealt with spiritually before you knock on that door asking for Ocha. So one of the things I do is work with people so that they can get to that point spiritually, so that they understand and that their spiritual guides are also satisfied. Because if you don't satisfy those spirits, they could put a monkey wrench right up until the day you're getting ready to go underneath the throne. It can stop everything.
Wow.
It has happened.
It has, yes.
It has happened. And so that's the most important step. So again, it's reading about different spiritual, there's some good books out there, talking about how to commune with your spiritual guides, maybe getting an oracle card deck, working, maybe if you like tarot, crystals, whatever it is that you're drawn to. Also your environment is definitely crucial, by using different incense and perfumes and different things that can also help to elevate those spiritual forces. And what I think is the key. Then along that journey, you do find out who you are going to be, whose child you are, what we call marking the head. So you get your head marked. Along that road, you might have a different Orisha protecting you. So when I started out, Obatala was the one who saved me and who did everything for me. And to the end, Ochun fought for me with Oya. Oya won. So, she was like, oh yeah. And to this day, people still mistake me for being Ochun's daughter, because I am the daughter of both. We become the daughter of all, really. But a lot of people, on first, sight, they think I'm a daughter of Ochun. So you would make that step. And once you find out who your Orisha are, who you're to be crowned, then there's the whole steps of where you receive your elekis, your beads. You will receive your warriors, and then along the way, there are some Orishas you can receive without having Oja. So you could receive a local, you can receive the Bejis, right before you're ready to make that final step and be crowned.
And this comes up along the way, what you need by having your regular divinations and having your spiritual misas and things like that.
And readings, and because with godchildren, I will read them. And sometimes I'm having a conversation with them and reading them. And,
Like,
and,
I can vouch for that.
and, you know, and then sometimes I have to tell them, listen, this is I'm telling you all of this. I'm not going to remember it. So you better write it down, you know, because I end up reading them, or sometimes things will come to me when I'm doing something else, and then I'll just, you know, shoot them a text if I'm picking up on something, you know. So, but to get to that point, listen, it took me 33 years to get to that point. When I first did Ocha, I felt nothing. You know, I had spiritual forces. They were all over the place. They were trying to come down on me in trains, planes, work, and everything like that. You know, yeah, I'd be growling at people. It was horrible. And that's because, you know, my godmother had left and moved away, and I was really an orphan in the religion. So spiritually, I had to develop myself on my own.
Wow.
It was not pretty. You know, I felt like I was probably out in the bush somewhere, you know, swinging a machete. But but I feel like after I was maybe 9, 10, 11, 12 years, you could literally, or I could literally feel Oya settling in my head.
Wow.
You know, and I could, like, the way my spiritual forces, guides deal with me now, they come in so smooth and then they leave. Before, they would have me, like, my body would be wrecked, you know, because they would take me through all kind of contortions and, you know, all kind of things. Now they don't do that. Now they just come in real easy, real smooth, and then they back out real easy, real smooth, which is where you want to be.
Right.
You know, which is where you need to be spiritually in this religion. And the same thing with Oya. I have felt Oya settle. You know, it's something that I can't describe, you know, but you just feel that peace or that settling of, you know, like her telling
that's sort of like an integration kind of, everything is sort of now.
Like, I got this, you know, I got this. And your relationships that you have with other Orishas, because you receive 5. So Oya is my head, but believe it or not, Yamaya is the one who does everything for me.
Wow.
You know, so that becomes a part of your progression.
Well, with that being said, you know, now the religion is getting very, very popular, all online and everything. And that brought up another question for me, because you have a lot of people out here who are saying, Oshun came to me, you know, and they're claiming Oshun came to them, or that because that happened, or they know that they are the spirit because they have this, you know, aligned with this energy. And I see a lot of people just kind of taking it lightly, what becoming crowned is and what that means in terms of your relationship with that particular Orisha, and that it is a certain mystical experience, you know, that happens, that it's just, I mean, yes, I'm sure spirits can come to different people and appear in different ways, but how authentic is it?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and see, the thing is, I think what happens is a lot of people, you know, when they talk about Ochun and they talk about Yamaya, and it could be the influence of that particular Orisha that's around them. Like I said, Obatala is the one who brought me, you know, and it could be, you know, that influence, but it's really a spiritual influence. And that person may have eguns that have Ochun made, or Yamaya made, or Legua made, or you know, Chango made. And those spiritual forces, like, you know, my eguns, you know, I have one that's got Ochun, I got one that's got Yamaya, I got 2 they cross, that's got Ogun and Siatarayo, well, which is Chango, and Palo. And so, you know, there's a whole bunch of them.
Right.
Yeah. So you have to be careful to also understand that these are more spiritual forces, but it's not being initiated into the mysteries. It's not having that ache put on your head and being born from somebody, you know, from your godparent.
Yes.
And that ache on your head is what opens up the Ori, which is at the top of your head, which is what allows the Orisha to come in and embody you.
Yes.
That cannot be duplicated. Okay. And if things are done and taken care of spiritually before you get there, when you go to tambors and you see people and the Orisha comes down, when that Orisha is there and you feel that electricity of when they come down, and how you know that Orisha is there is well, for a layperson, you don't know. Right. But, you know, this is where our secret society comes into play. So as being a priestess of Oya, you know, there are ways to know, you know, and Orisha will know if they are older than you, or if you're older than them in the religion, and you may not even know this person. Right. Don't know him at all. But when that person, and you're sitting there minding your business, and an Orisha comes down and he throws himself to you because he recognizes the crown that you have on your head. And he also recognizes that you are older than him in this religion. You know that Ocha is there. When you go to tambors and you go to these different places and you become a part of, you know, the initiations, when you're there helping to bring in someone new into the fold, and you begin to, you see how Orisha enters someone's life and changes someone's life or saves their life. I mean, there's a person now who, when I made my goddaughter, I guess 20 years ago in Cuba, that person had been really, really sick with different forms of illnesses, which on many occasions we thought that she would not survive. She's still alive today, raising all kind of hell, you know. That's beautiful. Yeah. And I can attest for a fact it has to be due to that, you know, has to be, you know. So you see those things, and that's, you can't get that just from a book. No. You can't get that from having a statue or creating an altar. Those things you can't get from those things. Or even if you try to build yourself an old tune, you're not going to get that. You know? That's right. And truthfully, well, they used to. I don't know if they don't do it anymore, but like when people would come down with Egun, and you, like I said, people who have Orisha, they know. They would take that person out. Right. Yeah. Calm them down, take them to another room. Yeah, remove them. Yeah, because they could tell the difference. You could also tell the difference of how somebody's coming down with Orisha and how somebody's coming down with Egun. There are like all these different things, and that's something that I learned from my godmother. You know, so yeah, it's quite interesting. I think it was a time when we went to Philadelphia back many years to that Bembe, and I remember one of the Babalaos was there. He didn't have on anything that indicated he was a Babalao, and when Orisha came down, they immediately knew he was a Babalao. You know, he knew no one personally there. Yeah, you know, his first time, and they knew. So this is something that is
definitely powerful, and it is beyond the physical. It's definitely in that realm. And so it's you have your egun, which is your ancestors, for those who don't know, and they also are not in the physical form, but that's a whole nother category right there. They function differently. Orisha are forces of nature, and they're irumole. They are those powerful beings that were here at the birth of all of this existence. So that's a whole nother.
Well, there's so many different components to this religion. There is the spiritual aspect of it, which we call the spiritual aspect, but then there's also Palo, which is spiritual as well, but it's deep spiritual. It's like hoodoo on steroids kind of thing.
It sure is.
and that's something that you get initiated into as well, if that's a part of your journey. Not everybody gets initiated into that because that's not a part of their journey.
Exactly.
And then you have, and within the spiritual world, there's also the ancestral part, but then there's also eguns that are not your ancestors, who are your protectors. And so there's so many different components to all of this. And that's even, again, if you're going to do Palo, if you're going to do Orisha, you have to get initiated into Palo first before you can knock on that door.
You can't do it the other way around.
You can't do it the other way. Because Palo, and when we say dark, we're not talking like negative forces, but it's just the darkness. We do everything at night. So you can't go from the light to the darkness. You have to go from the darkness to the light. And that's why it's done that way.
Wow. So what would you say were some of the highlights of walking this path, something that stands out very strongly as an experience that you would care to share, that you can share?
It's been such a long and varied road, but I guess what I'm going to talk about something that just happened recently, which I find completely amazing. My grandson, who is 10 years old, he got initiated last year. He was a twin, a baby, and we went to Cuba for his, and he was initiated in the Matanzas, which is like the Mecca of all places to be initiated. And the amazing part about it is during his initiation, the Orisha who was, holding, the person who was holding, the Ache, came down with their Orisha at that moment, And, but what I found even more amazing is that right when they were singing and dancing, everybody, it started lightning and thundering. And Shango is thunder, Oya's lightning, but the roar of the thunder and the lightning was so loud, and it lasted for 20 minutes. 20 minutes, a downpour of rain. I mean, it was just, it was incredible. And it was like, Ocha is here.
Is here. That's right.
And Tango is welcoming these two new babies, because they both were 10.
Oh, wow.
Into the fold, and he he's there.
I'm getting chills. Woo. Yes.
He's there. He was there. And, those are some of the incredible things that I have seen. Matter of fact, a lot of incredible things I've seen has been in Cuba. So it's, it's really a trial and a tribulation to get there and go there and to deal with the stuff. But I've had some really great experiences there, you know, and one of them also is when I was sitting way in the back in another room, and I went to a tambor, and I was in a rocking chair somewhere. So I'm sitting in a rocking chair, I'm minding my business because everybody's speaking Spanish. I don't understand what's going on. So I'm sitting there, and they say, Ogun came down. And so I was like, oh, wow, Ogun come down. But I have decided I stopped chasing, you know, people when the Orisha comes out because everybody wants to hear something. So I was like, listen, if he's got something to say to me, he'll, you know, he'll say it. I had just received the calicoles of Ogun. We receive Ogun, but you know, after you do Ocha, you receive the calicoles of Ogun, so that completes him. So I'm sitting in the back in the chair, and this man, he's an older gentleman, he comes running back into the next room, and he's looking around like, you know, wild. He's just looking around, and he spots me sitting in the corner in the booth in the back.
Wow.
He rushes over to me, pulls me up. I salute him, and I had just had an ita with Ogun. And he proceeds to tell me everything that they told me in my ita that Ogun said. He reiterates everything. Wow. And this man wasn't there. He wasn't there. It was just, and it was just some bimbe that we just happened to like find ourselves at.
Wow.
And but mind you, y'all came down and she had nothing to say to me. But you know, but he, and I was like in awe. You know, because number one, I wasn't looking for him.
Right.
And number two, for him to look for me and to tell me, that's how you know that this is real. You know,
exactly.
It's not make believe.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not pretend. Nobody's performing.
Yeah.
These are
it's serious. It's very, very serious. Yeah.
That is incredible. Incredible. Yeah. And that reminded me of when I was there with Teja in Cuba, and we were at Roz, the Bembe for Roz initiation, and Obatala came to find her because he gave her like a 20-minute talk.
Yeah.
He went, yep. And so all about her, about what she was going through, and hit some nails on the head to help her through. Right. You know, and that's what they're here for. They're not here to, you know, to be grandiose and to, you know, and to make us, you know, these high people over other folks because we know about the religion, or you're a priestess of the tradition or priest. They are really here to help us, to help elevate us, to help us have better lives. And
to help others.
And to help others.
Yes. And to help others.
Exactly. You know, so wow. So now, Oya, can you tell our listeners a little bit about Oya, who she is?
Oya is, it's funny because when they told me I had to make Oya, I knew nothing about her. All I knew is that people said that whenever Oya comes down in a bimbe, people hide because she doesn't live in the cemetery. That's a misconception. She's really outside the cemetery. But she's the one who leads people who have passed on into the spiritual world because she travels in both worlds. First and foremost, she's a warrior, a fierce warrior. She's the only female warrior in the Orisha tradition. I mean, there may be some other ones, but she's just known as being. So her children are all over the place. Needless to say, you know, she's represented by the 9 colors. She's represented by machetes, you know, she's swing that machete. She's also the lightning, you know, when she's working in conjunct with Chango. She's the owner of the marketplace. So if there's something that you want to do that's business related, you would go to Oya. You know, she's, you know, the owner of the marketplace. But her children are very spiritual. extremely spiritual. And so, and because they have so many spirits around them, because they're Oya's child, spirits, both good and bad, gravitate, to them. Oya is not forgiving. It's not forgiving. So if I have a situation, I really use Oya or go to Oya as a absolute last resort, because she also represents hurricanes and tornadoes, mass destruction, truthfully. So, if you tell her, like, listen, if you have somebody in your life and you like, I want him gone, but you don't really want him gone, don't go to Oya. Because she will send him someplace far away that you will never see him again, or never see them again, or she will do something that's just, that forget it. So no, you don't go to Oya. Oya is not the love goddess.
It's grandiose. It's extreme what she does.
Exactly. So you carefully petition her.
Don't ask if you don't really want it.
Right. You carefully petition her, because she will, but what she does is for your own good. Yes. Although the way she does it is like ripping off a Band-Aid off, just ripping it off with, no anesthesia or nothing like
don't
that.
Feel good.
No. Yeah. And you're looking at her like, but you came to me, you should have went to one of those soft Orishas, or, one of those nice foo-foo Orishas, and then they would just, carried it along a little bit before they put the hammer down. She just, look, I ain't got time for that. And I don't have time for that. So Oya she's very complex. She's very complex, but she is, she gets a bad rap, because she's beautiful, and and I think the whole cemetery thing kind of like,
right,
but
scares people. Yeah,
right, but she's much more than the cemetery. Like I said, she's the owner of the marketplace. She's there, she can be the kind, gentle mother, until she's had enough of it. And then, but that's who Oya is, basically. The thing about Oya is that her children tend to be solitary in relationships, unfortunately. And it happens, sometimes, sometimes we do live our Orisha's life.
Yes.
And not purposely, but it just happens that way.
Yeah.
And because Chango broke her heart, and he was the love of her life, she went to the cemetery that was it. She just shut it down.
Yeah.
And then her focus became, taking people from one part of the world into the other world, into the spiritual world, just carrying them like the Underground Railroad, just taking them in, bringing them to there, But she's a lot of things,
Yes. Yeah, she is. And like I said, when, I came into your life and I was brought to you, that's when I got to know her even more and got to love her so much, because, she definitely is, she's very warm and she cares, and she,
right.
Yeah, definitely. So, each Orisha has their way of helping you with their problems, but she was definitely there throughout mine. It was not a good feeling, but it was a change that was needed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's, you know, like that. But, you know, the funny thing about it is because they talk about this, you know, as a daughter of Oya, I'm limited as to who my godchildren can be.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't be a godmother to a son of Shango or a Chango.
Mm-hmm.
I can't initiate Chango. I can't initiate a child of Yamaya.
Mm-hmm.
And there are many stories as to why, but it's out of the respect that they don't initiate Oyas and we don't initiate them. They don't even eat together.
Right.
But having said that, Oya, daughters of Yamaya, or children, let me put it like that, children of Yamaya, Oya is the one that gives them everything.
Wow.
And vice versa, Yamaya is the one who gives me everything as a child of Oya. So they crisscross in terms of how they do. So you could, a child of Yamaya could probably go to Oya and cry and this, that, and the other, and she would not be as brutal in how she handles that situation as she would be to me.
Right.
You know, and it's like, it's coming up on a year. And last year around this time, I was very, very, very unhappy at my job. And I went to her and I was like, oh, I can't just, you know, this is like, I need help. Like, this is too much. Unfortunately, the next day I got fired.
Oh, shoot.
From the job.
That was quick. Wow.
Like, yeah, okay. So I was like, well, that I didn't mean for you to, like, but it was the best thing that could have happened. You know, and when it happened, I had warning signs all along, so it was something that I knew that was going to happen, and they just, you know, so yeah, let's just make it happen,
right?
You know, but then again, they, you know, I found myself back on top, and you know, and got another job, and was away from that stressful situation. So it worked out in the end. But like I said, you just got to tread carefully, like when you get ready to ask her something, because she could just deal with it right next day, you know.
That was so quick. Yes.
Yeah, that was way too quick.
And she brought you on her wins to a not much better place.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. That is so beautiful. That's the beauty of this tradition, and being aligned with your spirits and, you know, the Orisha. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there anything else that you want to kind of convey about the tradition, yourself, you know, anything, you know, spirituality, tips, guides?
Well, you know, it's interesting that in this new age of COVID, unfortunately, and it's, you know, because this religion is very personal based, where you would, you know, the individual would sit in front of you for you to be able to read them, and for you to be able to do stuff for them. And, you know, so it became very location based.
Yes.
You know, but it seems as if our spiritual guides have gone into a transcendental kind of elevation where you don't have to be sitting directly in front of me in order for them to talk to me, to tell me what it is that I need to tell you. You know, so it has opened up doors in terms of being able to help people far and wide.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
And to be able to give them guidance in a way that you couldn't give to them if they weren't located in your area.
Right.
Or they couldn't get to you because they didn't have transportation.
Right.
You know, so our spiritual guides evolve with the times.
They do, right.
They evolve with the times. You know, just like a lot of things that probably we do now as priests and priestesses, they didn't do, they wouldn't even think of doing. Like
Right.
before, they used to have you grind, you know, like shred a coconut by hand. Now I put that in a blender.
That's right.
Like,
Why do it by hand?
Well, this is what it was invented for, you know. Right. But I mean, I get the whole, you know, the ache. Yeah, I get it. But, you know,
it's different times. Yeah.
It's different times. It's different times. So a lot of things that we used to do, we no longer do because we evolve.
Yes.
And our spirits evolve and our Orishas evolve, you know, because it's a part of the times. So I find that I am able to counsel people, you know, without having to be physically, and maybe it could be even a phone call. You know?
Doesn't have to be video. It can be a phone call.
Video, or, you know. So that's one of the things that I find that as far as changes, you know, in the religion. The unfortunate part is that there are many people out there who are pretending to be what they're not. And they're taking the names of the Orishas and using that as a moniker.
Yes, absolutely.
And they're creating their own cyber Orisha religion. Yeah. You know? And they will argue with you, you know, and like fight you. And it's like, who has energy for all of that? I know, I like, whatever. Like, go ahead. If you need 4,000, you know, Instagram followers and they believe all that craziness you talking, go right ahead. You know, because that's not really what this is about. You know, it's about trying to help people get to a spiritual level where they can take care of themselves. As a godmother, it is my job, it's my responsibility to bring you to a spiritual level where you don't need me. You may want to be around me. Don't need me. Right. You can take care of these things by yourself. And I find that in a lot of situations, in some houses, they don't empower their godchildren to go and learn on their own, or just to learn and share what they learn. And so that this way, you know, my whole thing is you need to be able to learn how to take care of yourself.
That's right.
You know, you need to be able to listen to whatever that voice is that's telling you need to do, then that's what you know, you need to know how to do that. Now, as far as Orisha is concerned, I will take you on the road, crown you, give you all the accoutrements and everything that you need, you know, and take you to the places where you need to learn, you know, but it does not mean that you're tied to me by the hip.
That's
you
right.
know, because I want you to learn so you can take care of yourself, so you can have your godchildren, so you can do what you need to do, you know. And that's what this is all about.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, because some people do want to tie folks to them for whatever reason. It's, you know, ego, insecurities, you know, they want to keep a lot of people around them. They think it makes them better, stronger, whatever. But the whole purpose, like you said, and you've always been that, you know, being a godchild of yours, I can attest to exactly what you're saying, is always about, you know, empowerment and learning and, you know, and coming around and coming together. And
right. And not limiting your spirituality, because I found that with some people who I've dealt with, I'm into crystals, I'm into astrology, I'm into tarot cards, I'm into hoodoo. Now, hoodoo is a thing now. That's,
that's right. We're going to have another talk about that.
Right. But, and some people are just narrow focused in terms of spirituality. And they figure, okay, so if you're in this religion, look at me, that's all you're supposed to.
Right. I've seen it. I've heard it. Yes.
Yeah. That's all you're supposed to focus on. And no, there's so much more out there that becomes a part of who you are and how you can help people. So there's a lot of stuff out there. Now I have godchildren who are light keepers. Reiki. I know nothing about it. It's just not my thing. But I'm not going to tell them not to do it.
That's right.
Everybody sees and feels and has a different calling for stuff. And that's what they need to embrace. Because trust me, if I need some light, I know where to go.
That's right.
I know where to go.
Indeed. Yes.
Put the godmother up. So
yeah, and that's great. And to me, that's the place to be. You want someone to help you find your talents if you don't know them, and then once you find your talents, give you that leeway so that you can go ahead and develop
listen, you're doing some amazing stuff with the groups that you have and the research that you're doing, which God knows I do not have the energy. And anybody who's looking to learn more, I send them to your group because I'm like, listen, Mignon is doing a ton of research. She done wrote 3 books. She's on her way. So go over there and soak up whatever she's giving you every day, and then come back to me and we could talk about it.
That's exactly right.
But it's all, and she's your god sister, so
that's
hit her
right.
up.
Come on over.
Hit her up. Yeah. So that's what it's supposed to be about. That's what it's supposed to be about.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up now. I want to say about hoodoo in particular, we're going to have a conversation about that, probably touch on it, maybe like a nice little 15-minute thing in the future.
Okay.
But I also wanted to mention that you will be heading up a hoodoo 1, 2, and 3 course for Sacred Mysteries in the near future. We're thinking, sometime in October, November, somewhere around there, or maybe in January. It depends on how things go with all that's going on, but I just want to put it out there. And you also do.
I'm sorry. And the good thing about hoodoo is that you don't have to be initiated in order to do it.
That's right.
So it is something that, and it also helps you develop spiritually.
Yes. Yeah, because you start to learn about those herbs and the energies and, how to call on the power and all of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, so anyway, we have that coming up, and then you do readings too. You're accepting new clients for at least readings right now. Okay.
Yes.
So I'll get the information and direct people there. Yeah. So, all right. So we're going to wrap it up. It's been a wonderful discussion. Thank you for sharing the jewels and the stories and sharing your journey so that others can learn and, dispelling some of the myth around it, but also keeping it real of what it's really about,
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, it's
it
been
was
great
being here. Took me a long time, but
I know we were planning for so long.
It took me a while through no fault of your own, but I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. Well,
and I look forward to more.
Yeah, me too. Until the next time. All right.
All righty. Take care.
Right. Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.